everyone, I'm Rita Kakati-Shah, your host for The Uma Show. Welcome to your one-stop journey for feeling empowered. We're a platform for change. We build confidence. We are your voice. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma. Today, we're exploring women in construction, and I'm so excited to be joined by our goddess of go-getting, Rupila Sethi, who is joining us from New York City, and she is a founding principal of Aerial Design and Build. Welcome, Rupila. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me over, Rita. This is such a pleasure and an honor.
Of course. So talk to us about your background and how you grew up.
So I grew up in India, in Nagpur, that's in Maharashtra, and I studied architecture from the Regional Engineering College over there. And then I came to the United States in 2000 to do my master's in lighting design. So yeah.
That's wonderful. And from an education perspective and coming from an Indian background, that's a topic that is generally plays quite a strong role in South Asian families. Now, you actually studied architecture in India, and then you also studied at the Parsons School of Design in New York. Could you tell us about your education and how that influenced your career choices?
Yeah. So my career choice, I think, was influenced basically by my mother. My mother loves to decorate our house really well and entertain. So I think I always knew I wanted to go into a creative field influenced by her while growing up. And architecture to me seemed like a good blend of engineering and design. So it was just a natural choice for me. I didn't have to think much before deciding what I really wanted to do. So, and I was lucky enough to get into the Regional Engineering College, which is a very prestigious architecture school. And I just, I enjoyed what I did. So it wasn't a big guessing game for me growing up, what I wanted to do when I grew up. I knew I wanted to be in design and one thing led to the other, and I ended up studying architecture. Yes.
Yeah. And it always really, it's important to really enjoy what it is you're studying.
Exactly.
And how was that transition going from India coming to New York?
It wasn't a very difficult transition, I would say. I had traveled when I was growing up, and my parents had always given us a lot of exposure. So it wasn't a big culture shock as such. I think the biggest change for me was living on my own when I came to America. The country as such the culture wasn't, I assimilated very fast. But I think what what was difficult for me, or what took time for me, where I took time to settle down, was really starting to live on my own and be responsible for myself. But I was very lucky. I had these fabulous roommates, two Indian girls from India, and we all were sharing the same experiences, and our journey was similar. So that made things really easy for me once I landed and I found my footing. But initially, I think I struggled with just being on my own over here.
And that's a real struggle with most people. When you transition and you relocate, people take for granted what that actually means, So the fact
I never really lived on my own, because I studied architecture in my hometown and I lived with my parents. So I think moving to a different country and being on my own and being responsible for myself and it helped me grow up. It helped me learn a lot about myself. So it was all, when I look back, at that moment, it might have felt a bit difficult, but now when I look back, it shaped me into who I am today.
Absolutely. It really opens up that creative side of you as well. Get to discover who you are. Yeah. So how did you get into construction? And, what was it like to set up your own company, especially in the construction industry, which we know is still very male dominated?
So I studied architecture in India. So it was natural that I would want to eventually be somewhere within that industry. And when I came to the United States, I did lighting design at Parsons, which is in the same industry, but I wasn't really enjoying lighting design working in the industry after I graduated. So I was looking for a job in the business, in the architecture, in the interior design business. And I happened to start working for a construction company, and there I went on to become partners with one of the partners, who's my current business partner, Julie Kelly. And then that's how we established our company. So there wasn't really a big plan. The plan was not to do lighting, because that is what I was not really enjoying. Studying lighting in school was great, but in the real life, the way the industry operates is not what I had expected. So I was looking to transition. So I found a job in construction, and I thought, that's close enough to architecture. But then I started really enjoying construction, and, fate, destiny, I met my future business partner there, and then we went on to establish our own company.
Fantastic. And now that you've done that, you actually have a very diverse staff.
Yes.
How was that process of sourcing so many talented individuals from such diverse backgrounds?
So, it was, when we started, it was just my business partner and I. That is about 14 years ago. And then we grew very organically. Every year we grew 20%, 30%, and we kept adding people to our staff. And in looking back today, when you see, when you look at our website and all our team members, economically, racially, people come from different backgrounds, different countries. We also have someone on our team who has a visual disability. There wasn't really a big plan to hire people from a very diverse backgrounds. It just morphed into what it is very organically. I guess we were not specifically looking for people from a certain genre, like a certain males versus females, or people with a certain ethnicity. So I guess because we were not looking and we were not planning, it organically just became what it is today. And now, because racial diversity is such a big topic now, I mean, it has always been very important, but more so in the recent times, when you look back and you reflect and you see such a diverse group of team members, it feels great. But like I said, there wasn't a big plan. It just grew organically, and it is what it is today. And we're very proud of it.
Absolutely. And so you should be. And you also have mixed skill levels as well. It isn't just racial or gender diversity, it's across neurodiversity, it's physical diversity as well. Correct. And I think one of the things I admire about the story that you have as well, and what you've actually built, you're not just talking about it, you're actually giving it action and doing something about it as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think when you're not consciously doing it, it organically just happens, because if that's what you truly believe in, that's what the universe throws at you, and that's what it becomes. But yes, now that we talk so much about it, we are aware of the diversity we have in our company, and it makes us feel proud, and that's what a lot of clients also get attracted to us. We just recently got hired because we are a women-owned company, and this client was really excited to work with a Southeast Asian woman, and she just awarded the project to us yesterday, saying that, I was looking to work with a woman, and you're Southeast Asian, that's even more exciting. And I was like, okay, so.
I love how you say that it's often when you don't try, you achieve.
Yes,
because in this day and age, so many people are trying to follow diversity quotas, and they actually don't by checking too many boxes. But with you, because you genuinely believe in it, you've ended up following that path out of just naturally being in that space, through your natural who you are, through the personas of your teammates as well. So I love the way that you shared that. So you've worked on some high profile projects as well. Most recently, you worked on the design for SONA, the new restaurant that Priyanka Chopra Jonas has recently opened. Talk to us a bit about that project.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting project, and close to home, because it's an Indian restaurant, and Priyanka Chopra and some other very prominent Indians are associated with it. So it was very exciting for us to know that once we actually got on the project, that's when we realized Priyanka was one of the investors. So it was even more exciting. This project had a lot of ups and downs. We started construction in 2019, December. And as we were really getting into it, COVID hit and everything shut down. So for a period of good 5 months, there was no activity. And then the construction picked up again in July. And, we finished it in last November, but they couldn't open because of the restrictions New York City had on restaurants. So it has had its ups and downs, and now that it's finally open, it looks great. It has been an exciting PR opportunity. We haven't had a chance to meet Priyanka, and I hope we do one day. But she knows that this project was done by a women-owned company, and one of the founders is Indian. So we've heard that was something that made her really happy and proud, and so are we. But it's a beautiful restaurant, and they've put their heart and soul into it, and I'm so happy to see it finally open after all these ups and downs it had because of the recent events. So yeah, and I'm sure they're going to be very successful.
Absolutely, and great achievement for you and the whole of your team there. Did you ever have to overcome barriers by virtue of being a woman?
To be honest, we are in such a dynamic city like New York. If I was probably in a small town somewhere in Midwest America, I probably would have more stories to share with you. But luckily, because I'm in New York and there are so many women in so many diverse industries, it wasn't that challenging. There have been certain times that I have felt that being a woman has been a disadvantage. And, I really don't think much about it. I pack my bags and I move on. And then I also come across projects where the clients, such as yesterday, who awarded the project to us because obviously she liked what she saw, but there was a little plus over there that we were a women-owned company and she was excited that we were Southeast Asian women. So there have been some setbacks, but in the big picture, I would say I really don't pay much attention to it, because there are enough opportunities out there. So I say, thank you, no, thank you. And we move on and we go on to the next project. Sometimes I've been in situations where I have felt like, because I'm a woman, I, at that very moment, have had a confrontational situation and I have had to deal with it.
Yeah.
One example I can give you is when I was very early in my career and we had just started our company, I was on a job site and we had hired a subcontractor, a male subcontractor. And he was very jealous of the fact that we had contracted the project and we were doing the management part of the project and he was doing the physical work. So one day in front of the client, he started blowing steam and talking big and saying, if I wasn't here, I could do this on my own. And, at that moment, and I was very young, I just started, I had to muster all my energy and tell him, pack your bags and walk out and I'll show you who the boss is. So there have been times where I've had to really, I have felt at a disadvantage when I've been a woman, more on the subcontractor end, on the worker end, rather than on the client end, and have had to say, really raise my voice or appear strong. I mean, I am strong, but sometimes in moments like that, you feel a little vulnerable. So I have had to really, strengthen up and say, get out, walk out, and I changed the locks and I said, if I see you ever again in this area, you'll be in such trouble. So, sometimes you without even realizing, you have to act big, act stronger than you maybe actually are, and to really hold your ground. And there have been some situations like that, but I think a woman or a man, people find themselves in such situations all the time. So in this industry, I would say there have been sometimes being a woman has been an advantage and sometimes it's been a disadvantage.
Right.
You move on, you keep looking forward.
I love the way you actually express that, because a lot of people think of it, well, if you're a woman, you're getting somebody saying this by virtue of your gender, rather than actually it's from your perspective to absorb that, think, okay, well, what is the messaging they're trying to get across? Yes. And try to react in that way to get back into the terms of what they understand. So, okay, is it profits? Is it margins? Is it timelines? Whatever it is. And you think of a different way of communicating back so that that's no longer something that is a barrier, but actually takes you forward and progresses the conversation so that gender does not even exist as that step. So thank you for sharing that. And obviously, I can imagine you've been through several challenges, not just in the construction industry, but I guess through life as well. Could you share with us some skill sets, some nuggets of wisdom, perhaps, of how you would advise others to overcome these?
I would say, hard work. Hard work is number one. Believe in your dream, follow your dreams. And especially to young women who are just entering the industry or any industry for that matter. The one thing I would say is build a very strong network of women around you, because, we take for granted the relationships that we have around us and mentorship. I would say in my life, I have benefited most from the female mentors I have looked up to and I have bonded with over the years and shared my experiences, any issues, problems, and taken advice from them. So besides, hard work and living your dream, all of that obviously is important. But the big takeaway I would say in my past experiences have been really building a strong network of women and men also, but just like, looking up to your mentors, reaching out to them. And hopefully in the future, when you are in a position and you can return that favor, mentoring other young women in the business, or even not, just women who are looking to start their careers, is what I would advise.
What do you do to relax?
I like to spend time with my children, my family, my husband, cook, travel, just,
I love the way you kind of describe that, because in so many ways, often the things that you don't think about that you love to do the most, that you have to schedule in sometimes to do that. So,
on my professional front, work is so busy and it takes up a lot of my time that I just, sometimes the things that I look forward to are just the very basic, the very mundane,
right.
Just entertaining, traveling, listening to good music, cooking, being there with my kids, my husband. That gives me most joy.
I remember when I was a new mother for the first time, I would look forward to having a hot cup of tea, the word hot being the word. Right? It's the little things that count, absolutely.
Yeah, this weekend, both my boys were napping at the same time. They're grown up, they're teenagers, but they don't nap in the afternoons. But we'd had a very hectic morning. And I was just telling my husband, just these 2 hours that they're napping reminds me of the time when they were young and we were constantly running circles around them. And we would get that 1 hour, those 2 hour precious hours in the afternoon. So yes, just like the very simple, mundane pleasures of life.
Absolutely. It's always the simple things that count.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rupila, for sharing your inspiring story with us today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us on this empowerment journey. We want you all to embrace that inner goddess of go-getting. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma.